Good morning. Welcome to meditation this beautiful morning, the virtual service of meditation provided by the Columbus Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Janelle Carroll, and I'm a licensed practitioner here at the center. And it's my honor to be with you this morning, coming to you from the holy ground that I am blessed to call my home. Space right now filled with birds and bees and bugs and beauty. So I welcome you into this sacred space that we share. And I'm honored and grateful to be here with you this morning. At Centers for Spiritual Living this month, we are taking a look at the heart space. Our theme for this month has been Listen to Your Heart. The title for this morning's talk, The Great Work of Your Life. As we begin our space, sinking deep, taking our deep breaths, knowing, doing what we need to do to be here in this space together. Breathing deeply and deeply into each moment. I ask you to bring your attention to these words. The words of Mary Oliver. Who made this world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down in the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Listen to your heart. Ask it. Ask your heart, tell me. Tell me what to do with this one wild and precious life. Moving into the silence. Open your heart. Listen. Pay attention. What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down in the grass, to kneel in the grass, to be idle and blessed, to stroll through the fields, which I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? A reading from Stephen Cope, The Great Work of Your Life. Do your work passionately and let it go. Now you are free. What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Do your work passionately and let it go. And now you are free. Do your work passionately and let it go. Now you are free. Freely inhaling and exhaling, breathing into this moment. Recognizing your life, your breath, as passionate, this wild and precious, passionate life. I invite you now to bring your awareness back to your body, to your breath, remembering the wild and precious and passionate life that is yours in this moment, in all moments. Bringing awareness to your body, to your breath, with gratitude and with passion for the life that is you. I thank you for being with us in this time together in meditation this morning. And namaste.
morning. Good morning. Not yet. Yet? Am I on? Okay, thanks. Good morning. Good morning again. Thank you, Tony. Beautiful music there. I thoroughly enjoy your piano playing. It gets better and better each week if that's possible, but it does. Welcome to Columbus Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Jay Barnes, religious science practitioner, and I will be giving you the wonderful, fabulous announcements today. That's the reason we're all here today for these announcements, and they're here for you. It's my honor and privilege to provide them for you today. Apparently, there's a national thing going on right now called a pandemic. I don't know. That's what I've been hearing. So we'll be offering our Sunday celebration services via our YouTube channel. Now, if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, you can do so by clicking the subscribe button. I encourage you to do that. So for our first announcement today from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. via our Zoom, join Reverend Gregory Toole for our CCSL monthly community meeting. Everyone is invited, even you. Today's guest will be Reverend Barbara Bew from Home Office. The Zoom sign-in information is listed in this past week's Wednesday CCSL weekly Word e-newsletter. You can go to our Facebook page also and click on the link there to join, or you could send a request on our YouTube channel right now, requesting that information, and someone will reply to you, making that information available now. So go and ask for that information. On Wednesday, we'll continue our Zoom Community Connections meeting. You can find information on how to join us for that via our Wednesday weekly Word e-newsletter. The Zoom sign-in and or call information is listed on that page. Join us. Our 2020 annual meeting will take place Sunday, May 31st via Zoom. Watch your email for more information to come. It'll probably show up on a weekly Wednesday newsletter, e-newsletter, where most of our information, or separately, you never know. We're kind of crazy. We do multiple ways, multiple things, but look for it. You'll find it. If you're interested in having prayer after service today or any other time throughout the week, you can find our prayer practitioners, people like me, on our website, columbuscsl.org, or you can submit a prayer request where? On our website, columbuscsl.org. We are easy to find and easy to reach, and we are available here for you virtually online. So that's the news for today. Let's all join in sing our opening song.
Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves you and I love you too. Feel the love and the unity. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, namaste, I bow to you. Feel the love and the unity. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love.
Tupelo, and I am so glad you are here this morning with us. Thank you for joining us on our YouTube channel. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do that now. Please subscribe to our channel and remember to give it a thumbs up and ring the bell. We're happy you're here and we are happy that you've joined us. Also, at the end of service today or sometime today, a recording of this service will be posted to our Facebook page. So now, will you please read our mission statement along with me? We serve the transformation of individual lives through education, spiritual practice, and deep community using spirit and science of mind principles as our compass. Thank you. I'd like to thank practitioner Janelle Carroll for that beautiful outdoor meditation this morning. And I'd also like to thank practitioner Joni Bauman for holding virtual high watch for our service today. Now, I'd like to reintroduce Jay, who will be assisting me today. Jay?
All right. I can't tell.
You're
I
ready.
think I'm on. Can you see me? All right. So now we begin our sacred service. I have a bowl. A reading from Stephen Cope. Do your work passionately and then let it go. Now you are free. I'll let the music take us into silence for a few moments.
In the silence, there is peace. In the silence, there is unspoken joy. In the silence, there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said. And right here in this holy silence, I find God. I find myself. In the silence, there is peace. In the silence, there is unspoken joy. In the silence, there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said. And right here in this holy silence, I find God. I find myself. I found me. I found me. I found me. I found me.
So in the silence and the stillness, we find ourselves. And breathing from that deep well of infinite life and presence within, I encourage each of us to become more aware and recognize our true identity. that identity of source, that identity of intelligence and wisdom and vitality, that identity and presence of unlimited good. I know it is divine, I know it, and I call it source or spirit or intelligence. And it is beautiful and fabulous and loving. And I know it created the entire universe out of its own essence and being, and that it infuses its infinite life through all creation. We are each of us divine creations, emanations, and expressions of the one true life and being, God. And so I declare today that this service is one of highest and greatest expression of God's infinite intelligence, beauty, passion, love, and joy. I declare that the musicians are wonderfully uplifting and joyfully expressing their highest and greatest good, for God only knows how to express good through their music, through their words, and through their expression. I declare that the service, the talk today through Reverend Gregory is uplifting and vitally important to each and every one of us today, that the spiritual food, the spiritual essence that we are looking for is feeding us today. And we are each and every one of us joyfully uplifted, joyfully hearing those words that are sorely and wonderfully needed right here and now. I declare we are all here in this moment by divine appointment to become aware of our infinite good, infinite life, of our true divine nature. I give great gratitude for this awareness, gratitude for the opportunity to participate in service today, gratitude for hearing that divine message, that divine heart and mind and spirit within. So I let it go, let it be. So it is.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's relief from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that can never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself, I found me. I sat still and beheld the glory white of the silk upon the dogwood in the early morning light, and the story told to me long ago returned to something wordless as it started to unfold before my eyes. If you wait till all is right, till black folds to white, you live like a blind one. And if you hold your gaze to the sky, you'll see how the night gives birth to the sun. Oh, day to night and night to day. Isn't that the blessed way? I lay still deep and fertile ground. As my body turns to chaos, feeding all the life around. I am home, I'm at peace and I'm at rest. And it only took one lifetime to realize I'd never left at all. If you wait till all is right, till black falls to white, you live like a blind one. And if you hold your gaze to the sky, you'll see how the night gives birth to the sun. Oh, day to night, and night to day. Isn't that the blessed way? What is love but to open to the glory that in ordinary morning makes you weep? What is faith but to smile as the leaves change, knowing they'll return again in spring? Oh, day to night, and night to day. All of life comes from decay. Nothing goes and nothing stays. And isn't that the blessed way?
Thank you so much, Jesse Powell. I love to follow Jesse Powell with my talk. Good morning. I am Reverend Gregory Toole, and I am your interim ministry here at the Columbus Center for Spiritual Living, and so good to be with you all this morning. What a glorious morning it is. I love that Janelle was walking out in nature with the birds behind her during her meditation this morning. So we know it's a beautiful day there in Columbus, and let us take a breath, another just healthy breath this morning, just breathing in this beautiful life that we are living, this great life that we are living, even now in the midst of a pandemic. God is still God, even in the midst of a pandemic. So I am just so grateful to be here. And today we're talking about the great work of your life. And I'm going to be drawing a lot from Gay Hendricks' book, The Big Leap. And many of you are in the Conscious Loving class, so you're familiar with that book. And that book was written by Gay Hendricks and his wife, Katie. So this is my, I've read multiple books by Gay Hendricks, and also he was a speaker at our Asilomar conference, we used to have an annual conference at Asilomar State Park in California for Centers for Spiritual Living. Gay Hendricks was the speaker one year, and I happened to be sitting in the front row and just taking in all of his beautiful wisdom. And so today we're going to be talking about the great work of your life, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but let me read a quote from Ernest Holmes first. Ernest Holmes says, that spirit is in every living thing, is in every soul latent, simply waiting to be brought forth and come through the avenue we express. It is to bring out these great realities of life and happiness, health, love, and power, to supply these things that make life worthwhile. And that comes from love and law. So Gay Hendricks in The Big Leap talks about zones of competence, zones of expression, I should say. He talks about zones of expression. And there's 4 zones that he talks about. And the first zone is our zone of incompetence. The things we're doing that we're just not very good at. They're just, it's not just that we're not good at them, because some things you can work on and get good at, you know, and usually when we first do things, maybe we're not so good at it. But it's not just those things. It's the things we're not good at, and they're not really ours to do. Like there's someone else's area of you know, talent and skill and ability and their gift. And yet what Gay Hendricks highlights is that a lot of times we're stuck in that zone anyway. We're stuck in the zone of doing things that aren't really ours to do. And it just kind of, you know, energetically, it just kind of like brings us to, you know, it's just like, it's not a energy boost. It's not like when we're free and fully expressed and alive. You know, it's like this bummer, right? It's like, oh, it's like a grind, right? Like the things that we do. And maybe in life, there are some of those things that just are there. But it's like, how often and how much of our time are we spending in our zone of incompetence, in our zone where they're not the things that are ours really to do. Then the second zone is the zone of competence, which is the things that, you know, we're decent at, we do them well, but pretty much anyone else could do them as well. So they're not really taking advantage of our unique gifts and our unique talents and what we're here to give. And then the third zone is the zone of excellence. And that one feels really positive, right? Because it's the zone where we do things really well, like we're really good at these things. And yet it's still not our highest level of expression. It's just things we've mastered. We can almost go through the motions with them, right? We're just good at them. We can go through the motions. But there's lots of other people who are also really good at those things. And then the fourth zone is our zone of genius. And in the zone of genius, that's where we really shine. That's where our unique gifts and talents come to bear, what we are uniquely able to give and to do. And each of us have those, because as Ernest Holmes taught us, each one of us is a very unique expression of the divine, a very unique expression of God, a very unique way that God is wanting expression on the planet. So we all have that zone of genius, that place where we are in our gifts. And in that zone of genius, Gay Hendricks describes it as where it's kind of doesn't even feel like work. There's an ease to it. There's a joy to it. There's an expansive to it. We can just do it all day. It's like our gift. It's like we're in our gift. So I want to say something about the zone of excellence, that a quote from Gay Hendricks. He said, the problem with the zone of excellence and the reason why so many people are in it are unhappy is that it is the mastery of that which already exists. So we're really good at it, but it's like we're mastering something that already exists, whereas the zone of genius is where we're bringing newness. We're bringing something new to the planet, and that's why we're here. Oftentimes people have asked me over the years, because I used to do a lot of teaching around purpose. I don't do a lot of that anymore, but I used to do a lot of teaching around purpose. And people would say, you know, I just don't know what my purpose is. If I could know what my purpose is, then I would be just so on. I would be just so ready to go. You know, I would just be so energized. And what I often have said to people in the very simplest way is, your purpose is to be you. Your purpose is to fully be you, to fully get in touch with what makes you uniquely you. What are your gifts and talents? And it's like, you know, what is that, right? And oftentimes, when we say we don't know what that is, the real translation is, it's too amazing. It's too amazing. It's too big. It's too amazing. It's too extraordinary. Life would just be too darn good if I were to say that. It's so good I can't even speak it out loud, right? It's like my zone of genius. And I remember for myself back in 2007, and I know it's 2007 because there was a poster that came out of it. And when I moved to my new place, I had some extra space and I put that poster up on my wall. And in 2007, Dr. Edward Fouillon, who is now the spiritual leader for our worldwide movement, in his center in Santa Rosa, he takes a sabbatical every January normally. And one January, I was asked to be one of the guest speakers in his absence. And they have 3 services. And so you go and you do 3 services. And then I was going to do a workshop afterward. And finally, time was getting close. And the assistant there, the administrator, emailed me and said, Reverend Gregory, are you going to do a workshop or not? I know you said you want to do a workshop, but you haven't given us anything. Like, you haven't told us what it's going to be. And meanwhile, I'm sitting at home and I just, I'm procrastinating. I'm avoiding like crazy because the workshop I want to do is in my zone of genius. And I wasn't ready to accept my zone of genius. I wasn't ready for that. It felt like too much. It felt actually, quite honestly, it felt ridiculous. It felt like, I can't utter that. They're going to laugh me out the door. They're going to say, what are you talking about? No one can do that. And so finally, when she sent me that email, I said, okay, if I'm going to do a workshop, I guess I better send it. So I'm sitting down at my computer and I can barely type it. That's how afraid I was. That's how much energy of resistance was in me. It's like, I can't type this. This is ridiculous. And because it was all about me being a part of creating world peace. And the workshop was about each one and their role and their ability to create world peace. And it's so much more than that, which is why it just had this energy around me. And I remember just forcing myself to type it onto my computer because I just almost like physically almost couldn't do it. Like literally, it was as if I was climbing a steep cliff and I was at the end of climbing it and I couldn't barely climb anymore. That's how like physically it was. So I had to force myself to type this in. And then I sent it over and I'm thinking, okay, they might laugh me out the door. And of course, the response was, that sounds great. I can't wait for your workshop. And so that's how it can be sometimes with our zone of genius, with that unique gift that we're here to give. It can be scary because it's nonconformist, right? We're not bringing forth something or creating something that already exists. We're bringing forth what is ours uniquely to give, what we are here to uniquely express. So Gay Hendricks talks a lot about, and for those of you in the Conscious Loving class, it's also in that book, Conscious Loving, he talks about this concept called upper limits. And it was actually what drew me to his work because it explained so many things in my life that hadn't made sense before then. And the upper limits problem is, it sounds kind of strange on the surface because the upper limits problem is, how much good can I stand? Right? So the upper limit is when I can only stand so much good. And it's like, oh, that's just too good. That's just too good. And while it seems a little silly on the surface, because logically we would say, I can give me as much good as you want. Like, I'll take all the good. But so much of life has told us that we're not supposed to be happy all the time, that we're not supposed to have everything we want, that we're not supposed to be absolutely fulfilled and fully expressed and feel good about ourselves and feel good about our lives. There's so many messages we get that say something's wrong with you, that say, who are you to want all of that? Who are you to think you could be so happy and so blessed and so amazing? And so the upper limits, what happens with these upper limits is, and we don't really notice because it's not a conscious process of how we normally respond to upper limits until we become fully aware that upper limits exist as a concept, as a construct. So the way we unconsciously react to upper limits is we unconsciously find ways to sabotage ourselves. We unconsciously find ways to bring ourselves down. Like, let me just find a way. Like, let me, in relationship, for example, and this is what drew me in, because in relationship, I would be in these arguments, there would just be an argument out of nowhere. And this argument would be about something really ridiculous, something really petty. But I would be fully invested in it. And so I would ask myself, why am I fully invested in, like literally, because I'm a conscious guy. So I'm being the observer of my life, the witness of my life while I'm in it. And so as the observer, I'm sitting there saying, why would I be engaged in such a meaningless argument? The upper limits problem. The upper limits in that situation in relationship is when we get really close, things are going really well, and it's just too much because we have this upper limit that we've established for how much good we can experience. And so that was a breakthrough for me, because I could never understand why I would be so invested in a meaningless argument. And it was like, the upper limits problem. And the way in relationship that we solve the upper limits problem is that we take a break, we take space so that we can integrate all of this good that is coming in, and then we get back on the path again so that we don't have to unconsciously sabotage ourselves. It's an amazing thing, this upper limits. Let me read a little bit from Gay Hendricks and some of what he says about that. He says, the problem, I have a limited tolerance for feeling good. When I hit my upper limit, I manufacture thoughts that make me feel bad. And then he asks some questions. How am I getting in my way? Am I willing to increase the amount of time that my whole life goes well? Am I willing to feel good and have my life go well all the time? Are you willing to take the big leap to your ultimate level of success in love, money, and creative contribution? As I've come along the path and also incorporating these ideas from Gay Hendricks, I've asked the question, are problems necessary? Right? We just kind of, in a lot of ways, we just kind of accept that life has problems. You're going to have problems. You're going to have difficulties. You're going to have challenges. Things are going to happen. Life happens, right? Things happen. But then I began to question that as I really got to understand the upper limits problem. And then as I really saw a lot of my life in a bigger perspective, in a clearer perspective. And I said, how often did I create a problem for myself in order to bring myself down to the level of good that was acceptable to me, to what I could accept in that moment? And how much was random, right? We say in the science of mind, we're always saying there are no accidents, there are no coincidences. How much of life really is random, and how much of it, those things that we say, well, what could I do? I just got sick, so I couldn't go do that great thing I was going to do. Or what could I do? I got into a fender bender car accident right before I was going to do this. Or hey, this person let me down and we got into a big argument, and that, but how often are those our unconscious ways? We're very powerful in what we create. For example, for me, I used to have this phenomenon that now I don't have, which is that if I didn't want to meet with someone, like let's say I had a meeting set up with someone and I didn't want to meet with them, it wouldn't happen. Like I wouldn't do anything, but the person would call and they'd say, I don't know, something came up. I'm not going to be able to meet with you. And then I realized how powerful the unconscious is, and how powerful our thoughts are, and how powerful what we put into the atmosphere, the thought atmosphere, are. And I stopped doing that because there were meetings that I needed to have, that were important for me to have, that were good for me to have. But on some level of my humanness, I was like, oh, I really don't feel like going to that meeting. And I got to see consistently, when I would be in that space, the meeting wouldn't happen. So now when that comes up and there's a meeting that's very good for me, it's very important for me, but there's some human part of me that's like, oh, I really don't feel like that. I consciously choose to embrace what is good for me so that I don't self-sabotage. I don't sabotage my good. So where are we putting our attention as we move toward our good? And we can really look at and embrace this concept of upper limits, because there aren't any true upper limits. The upper limits are a construct of the mind. They're a construct a lot of times of our fear, of our sense of worthiness or unworthiness to have and be as fulfilled as we could possibly be. Let me share a story that Gay Hendricks shares in the book, The Big Leap. He shares a story of a man named Dr. Jordan Webb, and he had a company, and he had this opportunity to sell the company for $3 million, which apparently was like a really good deal for him. It was going to be big for him. It was going to, you know, it was like everything he wanted, right? Was to like build a successful company and then be able to sell it to someone else and you know, essentially be considered, wealthy to some degree. And so the company offered him $3 million plus they were going to pay him 2 years of salary so that I guess he could, you know, stay on board and help them with the transition. Well, at the last moment, he noticed that, he used to get 2 more weeks of vacation than what they were providing him in the package. So he decided to make an argument about that, right? And he argued that, and it ended the deal. They basically said, hey, this is getting whatever, too weird or whatever. We're not going to do this now. And when he worked with Gay Hendricks, because Gay Hendricks is a therapist, so he's worked with lots of clients around things like this. And when Gay Hendricks started working with him and the guy had his breakthrough, let me read you what he said about what was really going on. On the surface, it was an argument about vacation time, but here's what he discovered was really going on. He said, after much work and introspection, I discovered that what I was really saying to that man was, wait a minute, $3 million, that's way more than I am worth. I cannot allow this. Wow. Do you hear that? Do you hear that self-sabotage there? The unworthiness of himself manufactured this meaningless argument that sabotaged something that was going to be really good for him. And what was behind it was his own sense of unworthiness. So his own sense of unworthiness, his own sense of I'm not worthy of this. I cannot allow this to happen, sabotaged that deal. But the beauty of all this is that we can learn to recognize this upper limits phenomenon. And when we learn to recognize it, we can begin to rise above it because we can consciously choose and we can consciously see, like whenever we're in that space of contraction, right? Like we're arguing about something, we're in resistance to it, or there's some part of us, right? We really want this, but then there's some part of us that's in fear, or some part of us that's in resistance, or some part of us that feels unworthy. We can really take that deep look into ourselves rather than just accept that. So if there's a disturbance in our field of energy, right? Like here you are, great opportunity before you, but there's a disturbance in your field of energy. There's some dissonance in there that's like, doesn't make sense. Because like you're about to take the big leap, you're about to step into what you really want to do, what you really want to be, everything you've always wanted. And yet there's some dissonance, right? There's a disturbance in the energy field. And we pay attention to that, right? And we don't just let that pass by. We pay attention to that because it's a very good possibility that this is the upper limits problem. And by looking at it and bringing it into our conscious awareness and say, what is that about? Oh, wow, I don't feel worthy of this. Then we don't have to unconsciously create something to stop it. We can instead say, let me work on my worthiness here. Let me accept that I am worthy of all good, right? We are infinite divine expressions of God, of the one. Everything is given to us. The big question is, can we accept it? All is given, but can we accept it? The law can only give us, in science of mind terms, the law can only give us that which we can accept. So we begin to work with ourselves at that level. We begin to, in our meditations, in our quiet moments, be in touch with ourselves, be in touch with what's moving in us, all of it, right? The excitement about this great thing, but also any dissonance in our field. Anything that would have us in resistance to our good, anything that would have us blocking our good. And we begin to work with that. And we begin to lift it up into a conscious space. And in that conscious space, we begin to transmute it. We begin to transform it and to transform ourselves. And so our task becomes how someone wrote a book, I think, called something like How Much Joy Can You Stand, or something like that. It seems like years ago I heard about a book like that. And it is a good question. How much joy can we stand? How much good and positivity can we stand? And are problems necessary, or are the vast majority of what we call problems that come forward in our life the ways that we create in order to sabotage our greater good, simply because of our own sense of fear or unworthiness, or whatever it is that would have us resist the very good that is the universe, that life is wanting to give us and life is wanting to express through us? You know, there's a famous Marianne Williamson quote that probably most of us know, that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And with fear, what I have found is similar to how I was sitting at my desk, at my computer, when I was to submit that proposal to the Center for Spiritual Living in Santa Rosa, and I could barely type a letter on my computer because it just felt too big. It just felt like too much. Being in the present moment is really helpful with that, to just be present to what is and take whatever little step I can take in that present moment, whatever little step I can take in that present moment to move through the fear, to feel it, to presence it, to allow it to inform us, right? To give us information. What is this fear about? What's the root of that? Get down to the root of it. Oh, wow, this is my sense of unworthiness, or this is my sense of discomfort. I'll have to let go of all the ways I've previously been, or I'll have to admit that my life could have been better all along, and I'd rather not admit that. Whatever it is, we get to be present to. We get to be in the present moment. And so the invitation today is to really step into our zone of genius, that place where we are most fully expressed. What I know for me is my zone of genius is that place where I am working with conscious communication, conscious relationship, conflict transformation. That's my zone of genius. That's where I've been able to show up in life in ways that very few people can. It's my gift, if you will. And so my task, if you will, is to have more and more of my energy, more and more of my time, more and more of where I put my energy and focus in my zone of genius. And that is for you as well, to get out of, especially if you're in the zone of incompetence. Wow, what a draining kind of thing. And I'll give you, before I close here, I'll give you my very simple way many years ago that I began to move toward being really aligned with who I am and what I'm here to give. Because at that time, I was not aligned at all when I first came into the teaching. I was doing things that were probably in my zone of excellence, but it was not fulfilling at all. And what got me there was something very simple, was everything that felt aligned, every opportunity, every situation, every use of my time, my energy, and all of that, everything that aligned with what this zone of genius was, I didn't know that phrase at the time, but I knew that that there was like the soul essence, the soul expression, you know, the way that I uniquely wanted to be expressed. And so everything that aligned with that, I would say yes to. And everything that didn't align with that, I would say no to. So anything new coming into my life had to pass through those gates, had to pass through those filters. And so eventually it happened so gradually, it happened in such an evolutionary way that when it happened, I didn't even know it happened, right? Because it was just like step by step, little by little, keep saying yes to what aligns my soul, my passion, with that which expands me, that which excites me, that which just puts me in the flow, that which is my joy, my greatest creative expression. Keep saying yes to all of that. And everything new that comes in that doesn't look like that, say no to it. And gradually over time, one day it's happened so slowly that it was there for a while before I said, oh my God, everything I'm doing in my life, every way that I'm spending my time and my energy are aligned with my calling, are aligned with who I'm here to be and what I'm here to give. And it was a beautiful gratitude that I had in that moment. So I give you that, and I invite you today to be aware of this construct, this phenomenon called the upper limits. Question whether you need to have problems or issues in your life, or whether this upper limits sometimes might be what is creating what seem to be random kinds of things. And then to choose, to make the choice to consciously accept that life is meant to be really, really, really good and embrace that and say, I am worthy of that. I accept that for myself. I welcome that in my life, and I'm going to create that. And I'm going to make choices that align me with that life. Embrace it. You deserve it. Thank you so much. God bless you. And let's turn within for prayer. And so in this moment, I recognize that one divine presence. I recognize it as my very life and being, that one presence of wholeness, of love, of harmony, that one presence of infinite creativity, of infinite joy. I recognize that as the very life that is living through me. It is my very life and being. And I recognize it as the life and being of every person who is listening to this service. Each one a unique way, an absolutely unique way that God, the divine, is expressing and wanting to express, wanting to give forth certain specific gifts through each individual that only they can give in the unique way that they give them. And so I know in this moment that we are free, that the consciousness rises up for us to see so clearly our lives, to see so clearly how powerful we are, to see so clearly when we've used that power in ways that didn't serve us, to forgive ourselves, and then to see so clearly with that power that we can create the life of our choosing. We can create the life where we are in our zone of genius on a regular basis all the time. It is possible, and for those who are saying yes to it, it is already done in the mind of God right here and right now. And so I give thanks for this day. I give thanks for all that has transpired. I give thanks for the freedom of each one of us to live in our zone of genius. I give thanks for so much more, and I release this word. I let it be, and we ground it together right where we are with the words. And so it is. Blessings.
Thank you, Reverend Gregory. That was awesome. So, we just learned about taking that leap of faith, right? And that's what this song is about. Taking that leap of faith in consciousness. Taking that leap of faith in consciousness to say, you know what? Maybe this is the end of my logic, and maybe there's something deeper here. But I've got to totally let go. And it's like jumping off a cliff. Here we go. Now the day goes by, well, I say yes. yourself? Will I hide in my mind and leave my soul on the shelf? Another moment drifts and I'm rifling in the past. It's just more time that I won't get back. Oh, and I know there's an open door. Oh, I don't know what I'm waiting for. But I've been climbing this mountain for as many years as I am old. Now that I'm here with a clear view from the top, well, there's only one way to go. And my mind said, honey, don't be dumb. But everything in my body says, jump. There was a love between my feet and solid ground. Now every footprint I make is a romance fading out. There's a lesson in every barefoot summer fling, and it's that true love is always meant to turn your feet to wings. Oh, and I've never felt the sky before. I wonder how it feels to trust something unsure. And my mind said, honey, don't be dumb. But everything in my body said, jump. Oh, I've been climbing this mountain for as many years as I am old. And now that I'm here with a clear view from the top, well, there's only one way to go. And my mind said, honey, don't be dumb. Ooh, ooh, I'm flying! Woo-hoo! I'm flying! Ooh.
Amazing, Jesse Powers.
Thank you.
It was so fun to see that, and I could tell where you jumped. Woo! Oh, what a wonderful morning. Oh, so now it is the time for the giving of our gifts. And we do so appreciate the way that you have all been so generous and have continued to give to the center during these times. I can tell you that I come here and I practice this philosophy because, like Reverend Gregory said, I feel aligned here and I feel aligned in this philosophy, and I know I feel aligned when I support it. So my invitation for you is to continue to support and to continue to give and tithe to CCSL so that we can achieve our mission in the world. As we engage in the law of circulation through our giving of our gifts, we remember that God is our source and we're circulating spirit's energy in the form of money by giving and receiving. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving. We appreciate it and we appreciate you. So now Please say our affirmation with me. My gift goes forth to heal and bless and prosper. It does its good and perfect work and returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Let me know that love is all around. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Let me know that love is all around. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Okay, and in this moment, I encourage you to join me by closing your eyes and maybe placing a hand on your chest and your heart center and breathing from that space. Witness and recognize the energy, the vitality, the presence, the energy again of appreciation and gratitude. And allow your breath to amplify that feeling, that energy, breathing in and out, and declaring that the gift of the universe, the gift of all life, is living and moving and breathing as each of us. And it circulates in the universe through our gifts, through our givings, through our receivings, and that we are always infinitely blessed, multiplied. We are supplied with the energy, the vitality, the money, the wealth that Source has, and it is infinite. There is no lack, no limitation in any place. We are always supported. We are always supplied through that infinite giving of Source. So I bless everyone that gives today and tomorrow. I bless the gifts itself, and I bless the source of the universe of life that circulates and multiplies our gifts. And I bless this center, Columbus Center for Spiritual Living, and everyone who participate and joyfully lift up the spirit of presence of God through their participation and their awareness of the center. Give great thanks for this, and join me in singing.
And so it is, and so we let it be. And so it is, and so we let it be.
Oh, let's thank Reverend Gregory Toole for his message today from the book, The Great Leap, Looking for Our Zone of Genius. Let's thank Jessie Powers for her fun music, Carissa Holmes for her amazing voice and presence, Tony Bernardi on that amazing piano, Steve Parakis on bass, Joe Nelson, our drummer. They have all collaborated today to make the musical talents come together to make our music so amazing today. Thank you. And thank you all for being here with us on this Sunday celebration, joining us on our YouTube channel. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Also, if you're new, discovering us or just joining us today, we welcome you. We're glad you're here. We'd love to send you a welcome packet in the mail. You can either call the office or send us a Facebook message or contact us. There's a button on Facebook to do that. Also, if you would like to receive more information about our center, our services, you can do the same thing. Call the office, send us a private Facebook message, or contact us on Facebook, and we'll get that information out to you. So that is our service for today. Please join with me in saying our blessing. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. And so it is.
All right, let's sing. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now. Peace and blessings. Have a beautiful week.